Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this, and it won't even be tough.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification to my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's really the only way that we can get the word out that we're here. YouTube has got us so throttled back. All I ask that you do to help us get the word out that we're here is just share this link to your social media platforms. There's no membership subscription to join here. I'm not asking you to go to Patreon and sponsor me. I don't have any t-shirts, mugs, or rancid coffee to sell you. I just don't do any of that. All I ask is that you help us out by telling people how to find us. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Afternoon Drive.
You headed north. Where are you going to?
Not train.
Yeah, you gotta be careful, Jack. That's some heavy stuff up there. That's like Newark after dark. You gotta watch out. Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm from Cleveland, man.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Obviously, Vietnam's not that much of a change for you then.
No.
Think back to the sitcoms of the 1970s that took place in what we called the big cities of America. You had All in the Family, which was happening in New York City, along with the Jeffersons and Barney Miller. And the spinoff of that was a show called Fish with Abe Vigoda. Then you had Good Times. That was supposed to be, Chicago. And then I think What's Happening was Los Angeles. But my point is, there were these sitcoms that took place in cities in the 70s. Welcome Back, Kotter. Who could forget that from the 1970s? And a lot of the humor centered around the fact that the cities, even then, weren't all that safe. Now, New York City got cleaned up and it got a lot safer under Rudy Giuliani. Even the Democrats had to concede that ground. But they have all since fallen to hell in a handbasket, especially since they began declaring themselves as sanctuary cities and have not allowed the whole concept of Trump to bring some law and order there, and have refused to work with ICE for the deportation of the illegals. And look at places like San Francisco that has just become an absolute homeless shelter on the streets. Just everywhere you look, just people living in bags and tents, and there's drug paraphernalia everywhere and human feces on the sidewalks, and you got this going on in all these major metropolitan cities. And you've got these Democrat governors and mayors acting like there's absolutely nothing wrong here. I'm sorry, there really is something wrong. And the fact that Donald Trump has proven that in Washington, D.C., where things really were out of hand, where people were getting carjacked and robbed daily, that the crime was off the charts, but you had the Democratic mayor saying, no, violent crime is down, but conveniently leaving murder off of violent crime. Wait, what? Carjacking, not a violent crime. Wait, what? Armed robbery, not necessarily a violent crime. So remember these blue states a few years ago during the Summer of Love, George Floyd, a lot of them did away with bail. That, basically you could be arrested and right back out on the street literally within minutes. So the crime went through the roof. These marauding gangs, going into stores and walking out with half the store. I don't understand why these retailers are pulling out of the inner city. It's because they're racist. No, they don't like getting ripped off. And the retail stores that are still in the inner city urban portions. You know, you can't even walk into like a CVS pharmacy. Literally everything is behind locked plexiglass. You got to have somebody walk over there and unlock it for you. Gee, that's extra employees, more money. Extra security, more money. So guess what you're paying at the counter for that product? More money. Why can't these governors, mayors acknowledge, yeah, we got a problem? And Mr. President, if you can somehow come here and help us with that, that would be great. But instead, you've got the Chris Christie wannabe over in Illinois, JB Baby Back Rib Pritzker, you know, that little walking fire hydrant, you know, talking about, you better not come to Chicago. I used to live and work in Chicago. It was dangerous in the 80s, and I did work in inner city Chicago, the Caprina Green Apartments, the projects, which is where Good Times was fictionalized. That was a real place. I've been in those projects. I can tell you how unsafe they are. If you've ever seen the movie Hardball with Keanu Reeves, who becomes an inner city baseball coach, and the fact that one of his young players, I hate to play spoiler here, shot and killed outside a project in Chicago because they got caught in the crossfire. There are daily killings in Chicago. But it's black on black crime. What's the matter there, Governor Fatso? You don't care about that? Because it's, you know, it's just them coloreds offing each other. Is that your take on it? Instead, he posts this cringe video.
Well, here I am on the path on the lakefront at 6 a.m. on a Monday. And we got a lot of people running, having a great time. It doesn't feel like a hellhole here. In fact, everybody's having a great time and enjoying themselves.
See, again, I lived in Chicago. I know where that footage was taken. I know that he's in the nice, are you ready for me to say it? The nice white area, but it's 6 o'clock in the morning. You know where the criminals are? They've finally just gone to bed. You're probably not going to get mugged at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's why all those people are out and about. If you want to even remotely be functional in a lot of these major metropolitan areas, you've got to do it in the early morning hours, right up till about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then it begins to get a little bit uncomfortable because, you know, the gang-banging hoods begin to finally drag themselves out of bed. You know, you got some now mischief going on a little bit, not too bad, but definitely as the afternoon gives way to evening into night, crime is on the loose. I don't see Pritzker walking around the south side of Chicago. I went there as a white boy. Let me tell you, it could get uncomfortable. What got me through and got me a pass is I was known in the neighborhoods as I was the church guy. But I don't see Pritzker walking anywhere around those kind of neighborhoods, and he's especially not there without his security detail. You can bank on that. President Trump also talked about, you know what? We get Chicago taken care of, we might ought to get Baltimore taken care of. But of course, the insane governor of Maryland insists that Baltimore is a great place to live. Really? You've lost 300,000 people there. It is ranked the 4th most dangerous city in the United States. But again, you have juked the stats because you want to somehow represent that, why, eliminating bail has actually made our streets and our cities safer. No, it hasn't. So what does the governor of Maryland do? Why, he tries to do his best imitation of Will Smith.
Donald Trump, if you are not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth.
Listen there, Fresh Prince. Nobody, including the people who live in Baltimore, want to walk the streets of Baltimore. I have pastor friends who pastor in Baltimore. I know what they pay for security for their church properties. The fact that they've had to build actual walls and put up razor wire around church facilities. Talk about how safe it is, and unless you walk our streets, you don't walk the streets. And again, not without your security detail. Donald Trump federalized the law enforcement of Washington, D.C. And in the 12 days that they have had it, crime is down. Now, I know these Democrat mayors and governors all want to talk about, on paper, statistically speaking, on crime stats are down. Down compared to what? People who live there are talking about how dangerous it is, and you keep holding up pieces of paper showing numbers with arrows pointing down. That doesn't translate or mean anything to real people. But tangible results do. 12 days, city of Washington, D.C. Murders, 0. 0. Who could complain about that? Well, apparently liberals can.
Why has Bowser allowed D.C. to be a playground for white gentrifiers and developers at the expense of the native population?
Bill Maher is back with his Trump derangement syndrome. You know, it's funny with him. You know, he actually got invited to the White House, got to have dinner with the president, got a tour of the White House, got to see like the Lincoln bedroom and things. And, you know, he even talked about how, you know, all of these Democrats through the years from, you know, Clinton to Obama to Biden, you know, I financially gave to and have come out here and talked about and endorsed them and endorsed their policies. And they never invited me to the White House. And the guy that I've come out here and attacked relentlessly, he invited me in and actually listened to me and was engaging with me. And Bill Maher has gotten a lot of compliments lately from people on the right that some of his viewpoints, because he is non-woke, and he's certainly not into the whole, you know, trans agenda. He's you know, absolutely just loses his mind over the fact that, you know, even Governor Gavin Newsom, a guy that for a while there, you know, Maher tried to really promote and say, I'd be a great president. I don't know that he's saying that now because, again, you know, you got Newsom on Twitter trying to out-Trump Trump in his statements. In the meantime, you know, the people who were burned out of Palisades are still burned out. Nothing in California actually works. People can't afford to live there. And instead of addressing and dealing with any of that, he just wants to try to one-up Trump. And Bill Maher has pointed that out, but the problem is Bill Maher has still got that Hollywood mentality. And that Hollywood mentality means I want to be liked, I want to be popular, I want to be in with the in crowd. He likes to be out just enough that he's kind of seen as the bad boy. But at the end of the day, he ain't any different than a sellout like Howard Stern. So every once in a while, when he starts getting too many compliments from the right, and people like Megyn Kelly and Dave Rubin and others, you know, start playing more and more of his sound bites because he sounds like us, and it gets to Bill Maher, and the lefties begin to, you know, tweak at him and twit at him and snipe at him. He has to come back out and show everybody, no, I still hate Donald Trump. So what did he do? He goes on a rant the other night that Donald Trump's tyranny is getting us comfortable with the police state, getting us comfortable with people just being rounded up off the streets and never seen again, getting us comfortable with a police state. You disingenuous prick. Pastor Marty, you can't say that. Watch me. You disingenuous prick. Donald Trump is not just grabbing people off the street. This is not the Gestapo. It's not the KGB. It is ICE doing its job, rounding up individuals who are not supposed to be here. This is not rocket science. And as far as the police state, you know, the media has zeroed in on the past few days that the National Guard are actually wearing sidearms. Imagine that. A military man having a gun. Are they using it? Now, they've made a lot of arrests in Washington, D.C. They've even arrested some criminals. Imagine that. When you let the police do their job and arrests get made, things begin to get a little safer. They've rounded up illegal gang members, MS-13. But for the most part, you know what they're doing? They're just being present. They're literally just being present. That's incredible. That just being visible, being there. One resident of Washington, D.C., a black man said, I can wear my bling again out and about and take my woman out to eat because I feel safe. And if I get jumped and I yell for help, the response time is about 30 seconds, not 3 hours. And the criminals know that. So while the libloons and the Democrats and the truly white, elite, privileged racists of the left who like keeping urban America as a hellhole because they love to be able to try to then blame that on Republicans and blame it on, conservative redneck racism, and we're here to help you. Vote for us, vote for us, vote for us, and then they do nothing for you. And they certainly don't want you in their neighborhoods or their gated communities. And they can walk around safely with their personal security guards with them, but you can live in hell. You know who's praising Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. right now? The black residents who live there.
We need all the protection that we can get in the city because the city is really getting dangerous. A person like me at this age, I have to make sure to come home before sundown.
I enjoy having extra security. I think it's a good thing. I mean, you want to feel safe when you're out and about, especially females.
It's a good thing because it actually reinforces the fact that America is secure, safe, stable. As a moderate, as a centrist, I think something needs to be done. I have 3 kids. I'm about to start teaching next week. I want it to be safe.
I think this is long overdue. I've been one of the National Guards in this area for years. I like it. I love it. I feel safe already.
The mayor been in power so long, I think she's kind of used to how things are going, and I think Donald Trump really wants to clean it up, and I'm all for it.
The crime is outrageous, and you do feel unsafe. I don't know, what's going to occur, whether it's going to be really beneficial for us or not, but something needs to happen.
You would think these governors and these mayors, even though they're Democrat, would put their constituents, the citizens, before the party narrative. And even though they may not like Donald Trump, they could say, you know what, we do have a problem in our cities, and if we can work together with him and fix it, that would be wonderful. Instead, they want to jockey for power, that they can out-Trump Trump, and in the end, their people suffer for it. But that's all right, because the midterms are coming. And I know you're going to try to blame your losses on Republican gerrymandering, which we learned from the Democrats. It's going to be no. Donald Trump has played you again because you, Pritzker, you, Mr. Governor of Maryland, whatever your name is, stolen valor, lied about your Bronze Star. You lied about it so much that finally they gave you one so that they could say you were no longer lying about it. But for 20 years, you lied about it in every interview and every political campaign you ran. You just got it in December of 2024. Though you were talking about it back in 2001. Stolen valor, liar. Gavin Newsom, all these guys, instead of fixing and making anything better, they have picked illegals over Americans. They have picked criminals over Americans. That's what the Democrats are bringing to the table for the midterms. Bring it on.